a show where I try to educate real stories.
Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that has to do with the death penalty in a different kind of way. I have with me tonight Miss Berry Dynamic, who's a public relations expert. I don't know what you call people. I'm used to talking to lawyers and people in the criminal justice system. What do you call your title?
I'm a publicist.
Oh, a publicist. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm confusing you with my daughter who's in public relations. I'm sorry.
No, it's all the same.
Newly though, just like for, like she just started her job yesterday.
Oh, congratulations
On Monday.
to her, right?
I started her job Monday, so I don't know what you call, specialist
Well,
or
let me know
whatever.
if she needed any
Account
tips.
executives, assistant account executive. I guess that's what she is. But anyway, in DC. But anyway, so Miss Berry came to Danny because she is participating in a movie that's going to be shown at the Ensemble Theater having to do with the death penalty. I thought this was a great topic for us to discuss since we talk about criminal justice issues from all angles with an emphasis on educating people about the criminal justice system. So, Ms. Dynamics, please tell me about you and your involvement with this play and this, well, not play, but this movie and this movement.
Well, awesome. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's very exciting just to be able to have this platform to talk about social justices that take place in our community. And so my name is Berry Dynamic. I am the youngest publicist here in Houston. My company is called Berry Dynamic PR Agency, in which we specialize in brand management. So we help clients get, media placement, interviews, digital content, just everything to just really build them up as an individual. And so my role in this film, Canal Street, the movie, was really just a movement. I didn't look at it as just a form of entertainment. I looked at the message that was behind it. And so just having that community activist side of me of wanting to, utilize my platform of media to change people, either their lives or make them look at things differently. I wanted to use this film to educate people on wrongful convictions that take place in our society.
Have you had an opportunity to see the film? Oh.
I have not had the opportunity, so I will actually be hosting the Clips and Conversations piece, in which we'll be breaking down different scenes of the event. Be a nice cocktail setting in which, our guests will be able to meet and greet with the film director, Ryan Lamar, the producer, Bishop Eric Garnes, as well as one of the actors, Giovanni Watson. And so in addition to that, be hors d'oeuvres served and, wine tasting, just a great atmosphere for people to talk about this issue.
And Clips and Conversation, would that come before the movie or afterwards?
So it'll be before the movie. So the film is actually a private screening for the investors that actually gave towards the film. And then, of course, I'll be able to offer VIP access to some of the guests there that are, looking to be involved or just influenced in one type of way.
Okay. So I'm curious, how could you talk about it if you haven't seen it or nobody's looking at it? It seems like the conversation would be more about like seeing the movie and then let's talk about it. So tell me, will they just be talking about segments of it or what they're interested in? What will that conversation be like?
So the conversation will be on wrongful convictions. And so October 9th through the 15th is actually Death Penalty Awareness Week. And so in doing that,
what's the dates?
October 9th through the 15th is Death Penalty Awareness Week. And so this is actually my second annual wrongful convictions event in which we're just raising awareness. And so just a little background. On last year, I was the first to ever premiere the film Marshall. And so I try to look at, not try, but I actually do. I look at different segments and characters in the film and how does that relate to real life? Who do these people look like in real life? And so, Marshall, you are a Thurgood good Marshall School of Law alumni. So, you know,
But no,
he
tell me.
played, you know.
I've never seen it.
You haven't?
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I'm kind of a workaholic, so I don't get to see much TV or film.
Yes, I don't watch TV, but honestly, this vision just came to me. You know, I was sitting on a couch and I always listen to music, to jazz, or just something while I'm working. And a good business affiliate of mine told me, you know, maybe you should watch the news while you're working so that way you're always, you know, learning. And so I turned on the TV for the very first time after Hurricane Harvey and watched Steve Cobalt and Sterling was on the show, and he was talking about Marshall. And I was like, okay, God, how can I connect all of these different people that are in my lives? You know, I met a lawyer that hosts the People's Law Study Group, in which he teaches individuals, you know, for little to nothing, you know, the basics of the law, you know, how to protect yourself if you're pulled over by the cops, you know, what should you do if, you know, they ask you to step out of the car, you know, just basically knowing your rights. And so I had an opportunity to meet him. And then I had an opportunity to meet Christopher Darkins, who's a former NFL Green Bay Packer player, in which he was wrongfully accused back in 2016. You know, they pulled him over and was like, hey, we suspect drugs. You know, they just indicted him, found some type of reason to indict him. And he went through the whole just series. I don't want
Was
to
that
call
there
it a
or was
trial.
that here? What
It was
city
here in
was it in?
Houston.
Okay.
Here in Houston. So yes, never got any publication. And I mean, he had.
I never heard about that.
Right?
Christopher Darden. Okay.
Christopher Darkins, yes.
Darkins.
And
Okay.
so, I mean, there were several police cars to pull him over.
Wow.
And what happened, you know.
Why was he here? Was he playing or he retired or what?
He's from Houston. No,
I
he's
see.
actually from California, but he lives here in Houston. And so the whole reason why they pulled him over is because he was actually helping inmates how to set themselves free. You know, he was helping them, you know, looking into their case. Like, you know, if something doesn't look right, he's like, you know what, let me give some advice. You know, this is how you can, you know, probably get around this, or maybe ask your lawyer these type of questions to help free yourself. And they basically found a reason to pull him over. He was wrongfully accused. He used his same knowledge to free himself. And now he's built this whole organization called Y'all Life to keep doing what he's doing on a bigger platform and with more support. So he actually debuted his story at my Marshall premiere. You know, having him there, had members of the NAACP there, the president of Missouri City chapter, in which, you know, the NAACP plays a role in the Marshall movie. And had someone to speak on financial literacy. You know, the only way that you can make a change in your community is by having finances. And that's what's wrong with so many of, you know, our communities or just our culture, period. We don't have the proper resources or the finances to actually finance the change that we're looking for. So took all four of these people. I found a role in each of them within the movie, put that movie together within 2 weeks and premiered it, and it blew my mind. And it changed so many lives. And, you know, at the time I was 25, and they're just like, oh my goodness.
You did that.
Yeah, so now it's the second annual event, and we're just looking to take it another step further.
Well, it's interesting that I've been doing this show since 2011, and I've ever heard of Christopher Darkins. And almost everybody that's affiliated with any criminal law aspects reaches out to me. So I find that interesting that I never
Missed that one.
Well, that it missed me because, I mean, the first year I developed this show, I would go pick up the people. You know, I would really look for stories in the courthouse every day, I think 2011 and 12. But after that, people just started calling me that felt like they'd been wronged by the criminal justice system. Or I'd contact lawyers, have them bring their clients to tell their stories, good, bad, or ugly, or parents of people. And people started reaching out to me. I haven't had to reach out to people too much unless I want to do current topics, and I'll get different lawyers. So I just find it interesting. I mean, civil rights people have been on here, all the politicians have been on here, and so it's interesting that I've never heard of him being here.
Well, he didn't need any representation.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
most of the time they want to tell their stories too, in every
He didn't
platform.
want to.
Oh,
Yeah, he
okay.
didn't want to tell his story. He wasn't one of those type of people that wanted to be in the public. Honestly, he was a hidden gem. I have a lot of just people within my network, and people just say, you know what, let me connect you with this person, or they hear my vision, or oh, let me connect you with this person.
good.
So it was really just one of those things where he had never told his story. He was just a good friend of my, I call her my guardian angel, and she just passed it over to me, and he agreed to share this story.
Well, however we can get it out there. One of the things our community always thinks, and it's true, that we need money, but we also need participation. Boots on the ground can change things. The minority community had no money in the 50s and 60s when they had that movement. And of course, Thurgood Marshall was extremely important for the NAACP because while people were marching in the street, he was studying the law and changing people's minds and hearts in the courtroom. Without him, none of the change would have happened because he was going to court. A lot of people have heard of Danny. I'll give you an education today about Miranda versus Arizona. What is Miranda? What do you think it is? Just, I mean, you don't say it in the legal terms. Tell me in just street vernacular. What's Miranda?
Giving me my rights before you arrest me.
Okay. And what do you think Miranda is? I mean, you heard of it on TV.
Yeah.
You've never been arrested. Danny has. So you haven't. But
Hey,
hey, have I lied?
you
Stop me
brought
when I
me
lie.
into the conversation.
Stop me when I lie.
That's when they read you your rights before, when
Yeah.
they're handcuffing you. And
Right.
all that.
Well, the only reason why I'm asking you to say that is because you might not realize that Thurgood Marshall prepared that case and argued it to the Supreme Court.
That you should be read your rights before?
Yeah. Thurgood Marshall did that.
Wow.
So I'm just saying there's a lot of important, Brown versus Board of Education. That's Thurgood Marshall. So a lot of things that changed, I mean, to desegregate schools, pivotal. What we all experienced. It happened when I was in the 6th grade. I'm a little older than you guys. So I'm just saying Thurgood Marshall did more than what you might see on TV. He was the one sitting up doing the lawsuits all over the country that changed the law in the 60s.
One man.
50s, 70s. Well, it was a team.
Oh yeah,
It was
but
a team.
he was the best
Vernon Jordan
presenter.
was a part of it. He was a younger man toward the end of Thurgood Marshall. Then Thurgood Marshall became the Solicitor General, and then he got on the Supreme Court. But he was the Solicitor General for the United States. So I'm just saying he played a huge role for lawyers. He participated in Sweat versus Painter, which created TSU in Austin when black people couldn't go to the University of Texas to go to law school, and there was no other place for us to go to law school. That's Sweat versus Painter. And that was the university, that was, one of the names was the president of UT in Austin. The other one was the guy who wanted to get into the law school. And they finally get some separate but equal with him in the basement. He eventually quit school, and it was a long story, but from that, the birth of TSU came. Not the law school, the actual school. So,
The need for it to have their
separate but equal.
own.
Land grant, separate but
Okay.
equal. But anyway, but all those things are so pivotal, so don't let me get off on that. So, all stories are good stories. A lot of people have that story. So wrongfully accused is a big story. But one of the things I'm frustrated with young people like yourself, but not you, is that, Black Lives Matter. I agree. We march in the streets. We make a lot of noise, which I appreciate. I went to when they started Black Lives Matter in Houston, I was at all their things to give them counsel so they know what the law was on the issue. I'd be at St. John's Church explaining to them what a grand jury does, what changes need to be done. What frustrates me is black people will get mad at unarmed black men being killed, but the loudest voice is voting and going to jury duty. If you and every young person that said, I said, well, will you go to jury duty? As a defense attorney for 22 years, will you go to jury duty? Mothers would come in, my son was wrongfully accused, hire me for their case. But do you go to jury duty? Do you do your part to make sure that if someone is guilty, they're found guilty, and if they're innocent, they're found, if they're not guilty, they're not guilty. Do you do your part? No, I try to get out of jury duty. You can't really expect somebody else to do what you're not doing. One of the things the minority community needs to do, and especially the millennials, is own the criminal justice system by participating in it. Your loudest voice costs you nothing, and that's to go to jury duty. Say I can be fair and impartial. Black people are the most impartial people I know. We're always trying to be fair and give people the benefit of the doubt and be on that jury and make sure you vote where the evidence is. You can't expect for 66-year-old Anglo men to be there and see your point of view if you're on a jury. But that's what you young people have left them to do. That's the loudest voice you have, and that's the most serious right that you have. You need to give up a week of work, self-employed or not, to go and be on a jury when you're called. And that is my most frustrating thing about young people today. Because I'll ask them, they're like, no, I'm not going to jury duty. Okay, well look at, on Bill Cosby's case, you got to be on the jury. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I didn't hear the evidence. But I can just tell you this. Black jurors will generally, if the person is guilty, they're going to find them guilty. And in Texas, they can decide the punishment, which very few states let the jury decide the punishment. minority jurors will make sure that punishment fits the crime. I mean, they'll issue the death penalty if they think it needs to be there, but if you think that somebody is guilty of robbery, but they should only do 10 years instead of life, they'll say 10 years. You know, they'll fight for it, and they'll say their point of view, because you need 12 people to deliberate from all walks of life. When people say you don't have a jury of your peers, everybody's been called to jury duty. Now, whether you throw that summons away or whether or not you live where you said you live, because they summons people based on your driver's license record. And if you don't live today, Ms. Berry Dynamics, where your driver's license say you live, then you're not going to get that jury summons, and you're not participating in the criminal justice system. So add that and get a little education about that, because I've had minority juries when I was a defense attorney do the right thing. If you have 3 or more, because 3 changes everybody's thoughts. If you got 3, that becomes a clique. If you got 3 out of 12, and I'm not saying my clients were fine, but they understood what my client was saying. They could relate to it, whether they were right or wrong. And I rarely took a case to trial unless I thought my client was innocent.
It's so interesting that you bring that up as far as millennials being, you know, part of jury. I
You
actually
can't
got
do
my
nothing on
first-
Facebook. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
oh yeah, definitely understand. I actually got my first jury summons about 3 months ago, and I was actually very excited to, you know, be called on the jury duty. I made sure that my schedule was clear, put it on my calendar, everything. And when I actually showed up 30 minutes early and, you know, sat there, we're talking to the people, they actually dismissed the case. Okay. And so it was just so
But you did your
interesting.
part.
Yeah, I did my part.
And I thank
so
you for that.
yes, so you know, hopefully that changes your perspective on
Not just
young
you. I know
people.
you're out there on the battlefield. So I wouldn't
Yeah.
expect. That's what you heard. I don't know if you heard me, but I said not you, Miss Berry.
Yeah,
So I
but I
don't think.
represent the
Yeah,
young people.
but you. That's what I'm asking you is to put that in your conversation.
Oh, definitely
I mean,
do.
because
I definitely do.
unless someone like one of these old schools like me who's been out there trying hundreds of cases, it's not many people you know that have the experience of me and other real trial lawyers. Most attorneys are personal injury, they do all, but they're not going to court. But it's very few of us that are doing it for the, did it for the cause, represent the Constitution. Personal injury is not in the Constitution, but somebody's right to a trial is. Somebody's right to a jury trial and to present evidence in their defense is in the Constitution. So it's not many of us warriors that are out there. So I'm just telling you, as you talk to your peers, make sure you've never heard your peers say they're not going to jury duty? I'm just saying.
I mean, the people that I'm involved with, we're all really
progressive.
heavily involved in the community.
And I think some people don't realize that's an important
I've heard older
element.
people want to get out of it, actually.
They do. They do. No,
Yeah.
no. The older ones do.
And I wanted to make that point, but I was listening.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason why I said that, I probably didn't say old or young when I said my clients' mothers, but they were older. I did say that in my example. I just didn't say the age because I really don't remember them. But for the children to be adults, the parents were older than their children. So, most of my clients parents were 50 years older, some grandparents paying. And generally, we don't like going to jury duty. But I would ask those mothers, let me say it again, I would ask those mothers, do you go to jury duty? These people would be my age or older. So I just didn't say age, I just might have missed that. Don't be sensitive don't pick it apart now. I'm an equal opportunity.
Well, when you paint with a
complainant.
broad brush and you
Yeah.
said just the young people.
No, I didn't say just. I mean, I'm just saying, well, okay, let me say the parents. I just thought that meant older. Okay, let me just say older parents then, of people who are 21 to 30, 50. I've had those parents, but they don't like to go to jury duty. And I meant that as minorities,
What are some of the
period.
reasons do you think
They
that
don't want to miss work.
Okay,
They don't, those people going to do what they going to do.
okay.
Okay, but I'm just saying the reason why, if you believe a police officer wrongfully killed someone, you got to be going to jury duty that day if you're called, so that your voice can be heard as a citizen to say whether you think the evidence proves it or disproves it. So I just get frustrated when I'm just telling you the people who come to me and ask me, because as a defense attorney for 22 years when I was one, people would always ask me to do stuff for free. It's hard for me to do something for free when I ask you if you go to jury duty and you say no, or you don't work at all. You know what I mean? But you want me to work, 60 hours on your case for free. You don't know what you're asking someone to do, and you know that. I mean, that's one of the reasons.
And they don't understand. They see a successful black woman,
But they don't know
someone
that
looks
I'm
like
up
them.
until midnight.
Yeah,
every
but
night working
they
on
just don't
reading
understand
the
the
law.
process. But here is a platform to say it takes 60 hours of work. I mean, it's just not
on a
something you
basic
can
little
do
case. Yeah.
with a fill in the blocks thing defending someone.
And the government is big and vast, and so to fight the government, you have to do a lot. If it's one person against, it's David against Goliath. When you have the government, I heard Kim Ogg say today, 6 cents out of every dollar of your tax dollars goes to the criminal justice system in Texas.
Wow.
6 cents out of every, no,
And we often talk about
60
national.
cents out of every dollar. I'm sorry.
I want to make this point. Oftentimes we talk about national politics, but what affects us in Houston, Texas is not so much what's happening in Washington, D.C., but what's happening in our judges and our commissioners. They have more influence over our lives than the federal government.
Yeah.
So when you see these signs up, posting people are running for this and running for this, and you just pass by, you don't write their name down, you don't do a bio search, see what their beliefs are,
Right.
what they're for, what they're against. Then when you go to the polls and you vote straight ticket, you don't really know what you're getting when you just go in and just pull one lever.
You don't know what you're getting, but I'm going to always say do that because that's the way our system was designed in Texas, and we didn't design it, so we have to play with it. That's why everything is right wing. All Republicans say the same thing because it's designed to be a slate. You'll never know. Harris County has 175 judges. I don't know them. I just know the criminal ones, and I've been a lawyer 26 years. I don't know who the civil judges are, and they're right across the street because I'm in one building. I just don't know who they are. But it is designed, and one of the things that's frustrating for people like me who ran for judge a couple of times and lost is that the more educated we get, like Danny and other people, they say, I don't want to go straight ticket, but the education I have to try to promote is that it's designed to be straight ticket. I couldn't affect the 5 million people that live in Harris County. I don't have the money. Like you said, people are not going to give you money. Every campaign I had, I almost went broke because I would spend every dime I had, $20,000, $30,000, not working, campaigning, not making money, self-employed. It always sent me into a deficit where I'd have to refinance my house. So you really are putting people in a bind. But the system, I'd be having to fight against people saying I don't go straight ticket. But I have to tell you, it's designed to be straight ticket.
Well, I wouldn't stop there and say just go straight ticket. I would say even though you're doing that, still learn about the people that are representing you.
Sure, of course.
Go farther than just saying, I'm going to wait once or twice a year to go into a place where you vote, and I just do that, then I go back into my house and feel like I've
A
done.
lot of people don't do it.
I'm
a lot of people
engaged.
don't do straight ticket. And that's what hurts because they do the top. They might do the president and leave, where the judges might be, 50 people down, and they'll never get to me unless they go straight ticket. So we're down ballot. Like when I've run, I might be number 49 or 50.
Oh, so we can talk about that.
So
around election
so if you're
time.
just gonna do one, then would you ever get down to me? I mean, so that's why you got to go straight. It's
I get it.
designed to be straight ticket
That way you
nobody's
cover
gonna go
everybody.
down. If you go to the election, when you go to the election in November, you go to the polls and you want to push everybody, you're gonna have to go down about 75 names. How are you going to know 75 names? And what most people do, if they don't know them, they don't vote for them. So then you don't get a vote. So
I understand.
do you understand what I'm saying? So if you don't,
In that theory,
you
that
probably
example.
voted, but didn't vote for me because you didn't know me then. You see what I'm saying? Because you were being
No,
intelligent.
probably I
lost.
was a returning citizen still on parole.
Probably then, but now, let's talk about now.
Okay.
So I'm just giving an example. So I'm just saying, you got to understand the system that you're working with and work with it. And if you want to change it, you run to be a legislator in Austin so you can help change the laws, which I'd love to see more millennials do. I mean, I don't think marijuana should be illegal. I don't think that's ruined a lot of young people's lives on probable cause. And that's why I went back to the DA's office with Kim to help create diversion programs to divert people. And we've diverted 6,500 young people since March of last year. We're at the side of the road. They were never arrested. They were diverted.
Well, they're
And
doing.
so that's amazing.
So they're doing something unprecedented in Brooklyn. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez
I know him
agreed to.
personally.
You know him personally?
I know him personally.
Okay. Right now he is set in place to vacate 56 marijuana convictions and expunge over 3,000 arrest warrants on minor marijuana charges in hoping to right the wrongs of stop and frisk area and policing.
Yeah, because in New York, when they had the stop and frisk. But he has to cure a problem where they were just shaking down black men. We never had that just straight up on the street shake people down. At least they would stop you in cars and smelling it. But they were just taking you, stop you, let's see if you got it. They had that, and that was declared unconstitutional last year. So he has to do something about that. But I know him. All of the progressive DAs, we're part of an organization. When I didn't do the show 2 weeks ago in New York, I was there. I was at New York University with people like Eric Gonzalez. I know him personally because Kim is a part of a progressive DAs across the nation, and they're all doing something with marijuana reform. I told you what we're doing. He has to right the wrongs. Ours were legal stops. Marijuana is illegal, but our Texas legislature has given DAs in Texas the right to divert certain low-level misdemeanors, and Kim opted to use it. That law was written on the books years ago. We got the police to buy into that so that we can go in after more violent criminals. He has to deal with a different problem. We're all the progressive DAs in the country are dealing with marijuana in different ways.
And on this, they didn't even require people to actually go back in the courts to stand before a judge to get these cases expunged?
To get a case expunged, you don't have to go to court.
They set it up in a church in their community for them to go in. Yeah. And then they also, as the DA, he also said they created a agency that helped people get this done with no cost.
You know who's doing that for us is Beacon. The Beacon does that next door to where you work. They expunge people's records.
But I was excited.
I'm excited because I want to talk about it locally because they do it locally. So I mean, a lot of people want to get expunctions, but the Beacon, right where you work to go pick up those people, they do it. They expunge people's records for free. Did you know that?
Wow. Yeah, I know that they give legal services. I didn't know to the extent.
No, when we do Make It Right programs, we invite them and they will expunge people's records. But do understand what he's doing is he had a more severe problem than we did, so he's trying to right the wrong of it. We've diverted 6,500 people who never got arrested. Those people were arrested that he's expunging. These people never take that trip downtown. So since Kim has come from March of last year, they don't even go to jail for 4 ounces or less, and they tell me people who know weed that 4 ounces is a lie. That's a Class A misdemeanor. So, and it doesn't matter if you've been to the pen. Danny, I know you wouldn't be caught with no weed, but somebody even been to the pen 3 times, 5 times, there's no restriction. It's not for first offenders. Anybody with weed, as long as they're not committing another crime at the same time. I mean, if they robbing somebody or they got a gun in the car and they shouldn't have one, then there's another issue. Then we'd go ahead and take them to jail. But if that's their only crime is weed, and psychologically that should help people not unlawfully search people's cars. Mm-hmm. If you can't take them to jail, what's the point?
Correct.
Right? Yes. So you see the cycle. So we're doing what we can, and I want you to know that, and that's helping police relationships, hopefully, in the minority communities.
Yes.
You don't have to be well, we just started this last March, so this March was 1 year, but it's been very successful because in prior years in the district attorney's office here, we arrested 10,000 people a year just for marijuana, which is a misdemeanor. And that's taking a lot of cops off the street.
And my organization recently did an analysis on your office to see have some of the things that Ms. Orrick said she was going to put in place, how they lined up statistically. And then we do show that marijuana arrests are down in some other areas, but the official report is not out, but we saw it, but we hadn't made it public because what we want to do with this analysis is to have an opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with Ms. Orrick and show her that these are some of the things you said you wanted to fix. Some things are going well. Maybe you're not aware that some of these things are still the same.
Sure. And one of the things I also do in this educational environment is to educate you. Ms. Ogg, the district attorney, is not the police. So if the police want to arrest you, they can. I mean, we don't have anything to do with the police. So a lot of times, the DA gets blamed for things that are not in their purview, and so we have to understand that. So if they arrest you and they say you did it, we don't know if it's true or not.
But you get the report. You get a chance to say, we're going to go ahead and, you don't have to prosecute them if it's a bad case.
That's not the way it works, though.
So when they arrest you...
You can't tell us, you got to ask me. How does it work? So the police officers call, if a police officer arrests you when you walk out of the door, they're going to put you in the back of the patrol car. There is no report. They're going to call the district attorney's office that's open 24 hours a day. We're one of the few in the country like that.
On the hotline.
And they say, somebody there right now, every day. I worked Christmas. In DA Ogg worked Christmas. She worked 8 to 5, so our young prosecutors could be with their families, and I work from 5 to midnight, so they could be with their families. So they call us, and then somebody worked from midnight to 8. I didn't do that shift. That was too late. But I did leave my family and go from 5 to midnight. But anyway, they call us and they say, we have Vivian King on the side of the road. I stopped her. I smelled marijuana. which gave me probable cause to search the car, and I found marijuana. Will you accept this charge? And based on the cop's word, we accept it. And then they do get on their motorized digital device, the MDT, and they type up a little synopsis that's emailed into the district clerk's office and the DA's office and the district clerk. Then the process begins, and they have to process you within 24 hours under this new federal rule, or they have to, or let you out, on your own recognizance. That's what we're doing right now. But they've always done that. When I was a prosecutor in 1992, we did that. If it's a murder, whatever happens, if it's a robbery, there's a chase, and we decline a lot of charges, we'll tell them, no, let them go. Let them go, or call Class C, go take them to the city. Don't bother the county with that, because Class C's are in a cop's discretion. But no, if they go to an arrest and you call somebody because somebody's beating you up, and you say, my husband hit me in the mouth, the cops arrest you. The DA's office doesn't have anything to do with it. We have to go by what the cops say. So we're not in a position over the phone to say it happened or it didn't happen. It's just like somebody calling you saying he hit me in the mouth. You believe it unless it's something different. And so that's why and then we take the case and then they go and process them in. But they give us the actual police report comes out generally in the next 48 hours, 24 hours, because the police officer after his shift, he actually writes the formal report and his supervisor has to approve it. And then it goes through the system to where the DAs can get it for court the next day. But sometimes the police reports aren't ready for 90 days. And that's why cases get reset a lot by DAs.
So I'm
because the
sitting in
cop has
jail?
never done. If he went on vacation the next day, jail has nothing to do with it. We talked about the report. I wanted to tell you the report part. You get a bond when you go to jail.
Okay, I can't make bond.
Okay. But
So
on misdemeanors, they're under a federal order that all misdemeanors, if they're not processed in 24 hours, the cops got to do what they got to do and let you out in 24 hours, unless you have a hold for a felony, or unless there's something else going on. When your advocacy groups are looking at those misdemeanor marijuana charges, remember what I said, and this caveat is important. If you right now in your state of background, and all you have is some weed in your car, the officer is going to give you a sheet of paper that me and Kim designed, and going to give you, do you want to get in this program? It's a 90-day, within 90 days you have to take a 4-hour mental cognizance test, like behavior modification class. And you have to go to that class. We give you a sheet of paper to tell you how to sign up online, and you have to go there within 90 days. I forgot how much it costs, $100, $150, I forgot it. But if you can't afford it, you can still go. We won't charge you for anything. It pays for the teacher. So then you go on a Saturday, any Saturday for 90 days or weeknight, it's a 4-hour class. So it has to be some punishment involved. So that's the punishment. And if that happens, when you go take that class, they email us. We have a staff that's doing just these marijuana cases. They put it in the system and no warrant ever issues. If you never take the class, and we gave people a year, more than 90 days, we're now issuing warrants. But this is what we're doing if they didn't do it.
I would love to connect you with my client. He's actually running, his name is Demetrius Walker. He's running for state representative in the Katy district, and that's one of his agendas, to legalize marijuana here in the state of Texas, so that way we can work or basically just bridge that gap with
Well, no, that needs to happen. So right now we're doing what we can to divert the resources. And if they don't take the class, then we're issuing a warrant. But we gave them a year. We didn't start issuing the warrants until March of this year. We gave them a year, even though we said it was going to be March, April, May, June, we'd start doing it. We didn't do it. The hurricane happened in August, into August, 1st September, so we just let everybody slide. But in March, we started writing warrants. But let me tell you what we're still doing. If they get arrested, get out in 24 hours, come to court. We created a clean and green program where they're working with the Texas Conservation Corp to go clean the bayou. They go do that. I think it's 8 hours or 16 hours, one or the other they have to do. Then we dismiss it. So there's still no conviction.
Okay.
It's not even probation. It took us about 6 months to create that program called Clean and Green. It's been written up in the paper. You can Google it, the Clean and Green program. So we created an alternative. So they got their arrest record now, but they don't have a conviction because we just let them come to court. Do you want to do Clean and Green? Yes, no, yes. Reset it for 60 days. Go clean up the bayou. They got to pay a fee, might be $200, but it's cheaper than hiring a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
They'll pay $200 because it's paying the people who are doing it. It's young Peace Corps type of kids that are running the program. I say kids, young adults who are running the program that are the granola, believe in the bayou cleanup, believe in people's restorative justice. And they supervise them to clean it up. They found a dead corpse in there. They've done some good work. Those Clean and Green people
Really?
found a dead body in that bayou, yeah, and they were scared, and
wow.
we're working on getting them some counseling because they,
They traumatized.
Yeah, I mean,
that's more than
not
they was
something you
thinking about.
expect,
Yeah, they found a dead body, a missing person they found in the bayou. But anyway, they're doing that, and when they tell us they did it, then we dismiss their case. So they still don't
So
have
that's
a
good
conviction.
news.
And that's all good because when you have a conviction for marijuana, you lose your driver's license, which also hurts you when you get surcharges.
What?
Yeah.
When that law?
Even if you just take time served, it's always been the law. You never had a drug case. Your cases were because of your drug addiction, but they weren't drug cases, unless you haven't told me about it. I thought you were honest with me on this show when you told your story.
Well, it wasn't marijuana that I
It
never
doesn't matter
got
what
caught
drug
on
it is.
But they never. I don't want to just. They may go back and say we. No, I'm
Too
not
late
going.
now.
Yeah.
Statute of limitations is run.
Okay.
I thought you was gonna turn that off.
It is off. It is
Off. No noise. But anyway, no. So, and a lot of young people have surcharges from getting their license suspended because they had a marijuana case before. So it's a lot of things that have been helped. I had a client one time that was 19. He had like $10,000 worth of surcharges. He had a lot of weed cases. He'd been caught driving without a license so many times that he couldn't get a license because he had all these surcharges. So that's a real important thing too, of not getting a conviction, because surcharges and DPS ramifications come that have nothing to do with the court system. That's just a condition of your driver's license. So anyway, what are you reading about today?
Well, again, I want to. It's not about me. It's about Miss Berry. I want to tell you the story how she was talking about. I was listening to how she got involved in criminal justice reform itself. How it was almost like accidentally getting involved in criminal justice reform. You're saying during a hurricane, listening to something on TV. It's also how you end up being here. It's just through a chance encounter with someone else. Someone told her about my involvement. In the
Hit the off button.
Yes, ma'am.
I hear it.
Okay. Going back to Path of Freedom and the work that I do with Texas Advocate for Justice. So it's kind of like
Killing me. Turn
It's
it
off.
off.
It's
That's
off.
not off.
It's off. It's
No,
off.
it's not.
It's off. That what I got excited about is that there's people that have been directly affected by the criminal justice system, but want to get involved in the reforming of it. That's why it's so important working with Vivian, Ms. King, is because she's on the side of the equation we feel like oppress us on this side, but she's almost like a mole. She's on the inside doing her job, doing everything to keep her job, but at the same time having compassion for her community and seeing the people that most look like her come through the system and seeing the disparities in how it's set up. But not only that, being exposed to what goes on with the people that are in the roles of power and authority. Like in their job, they're doing this, but in their everyday lives, they may be off the chain. They may be a low moral character, but they still in this position of power over our lives. But to be able to come out and speak against, not in name, but to expose the fact that what you see is not what's always going on, it gives people hope to say that, okay, it may be bad, but not everybody that's involved in the criminal justice system is bad, and it's there just saying, I'm going to turn a blind eye to injustice. And so I just want to just thank you for picking up the mantle or the weapon in the fight, being young, and saying, you know what, if Colin Kaepernick can take a knee, forfeit millions of dollars, and then turn around and all those things get restored back into his Nike endorsements and everybody, it took him a while to embrace him, but to say, you know what, Time Magazine said who you are is something we hadn't seen in a long time. You're bringing back the images of Muhammad Ali.
He's just like Muhammad Ali. He's the new
Nelson
day Muhammad
Mandela.
Ali.
People that are saying, you know what,
I'll give up everything for what I believe.
You giving me a choice. If I just keep my mouth closed and I don't do anything, I can go back to my life. Because they gave Mandela a choice.
Oh,
If you stop leading people against apartheid, we won't bother you. But if you don't, we're going to incarcerate you for the rest of your life.
That also
That's
happened with
exact-
Martin Luther King, but he chose to get killed. He knew he wouldn't. He might not get there with you because he was threatened to stop or else. So it's beautiful to see young people, because I love the young people's energy. I love the communication on Facebook, but sometimes I worry about, and it's just because I'm old, but I worry about about young people living in a third realm. Not a real realm, because you can say anything on Facebook, but like I said, to go to jury duty, you're gonna have to sit 8 hours in court with no phone. You have to pay attention to what people are actually saying. You have to actually do a sacrifice. It's hard to do. I mean, I've gotten, I try to wean myself and make sure I don't get, so I can still engage people and look them in the eyes. We have to try to continue to communicate, but also talk about what's important. We can talk about what's going on Facebook and Twitter, and that's important, but you got to do something. And young people are so materialistic now. It was refreshing to see Kaepernick take a knee and make sacrifices, because a lot of people of our generation did make sacrifices, still making sacrifices. I mean, I love working for the community. That's why I went back to the DA's office, but it was a sacrifice. I gave up, a private business that I'd worked hard to create, to work for the government, to make sure that all people are feeling, being treated fairly. There's a fair process. I want us to, like Kim, I want us to live in a safer environment. But I don't think stopping people for marijuana is going to make us safer. I just don't know of a lot of people on marijuana that's killing and robbing us. You understand what I'm saying? And I'd like those resources to be used for those people who are breaking in our homes and killing and robbing. And I want to do my part.
Real crime.
The real crime. The crime that they used to arrest people for when I was young, in the 70s. When weed was a felony, police officers used to throw it away. Because they only arrested the young men that was breaking in people's houses in San Antonio. I am from a different environment. But they did, and so I want to go back to that, to where we lock up people that we're afraid of, not people we're mad at, or people that are in a different tribe than we're in. Mm-hmm. I'm worried about the tribal politics of today. Donald Trump is an Anglo male who thinks a certain way, so everybody in his tribe follows him. Everybody in this other tribe follows it this way. I don't like that. And even if the tribe is wrong, the tribal leader is wrong, we're going to all think like that. We don't have independent thinkers anymore. I mean, if everybody thought like Trump and they wanted to follow their tribe, we would have never had the breakthroughs we had in the civil rights movement. So I'm concerned about that, and young people not making a big enough sacrifice. Colin Kaepernick did his part. He'll be famous for it. But who else is going to do it? I want y'all to work in legislature. I want y'all to change the laws. If the majority in legislature feels like you can expunge people's record if they haven't been in trouble in 10 years, you can make that the law. One of the most frustrating things I had is people would tell me what the law was, and that wasn't the law. Oh, he ought to be able to get that expunged. He hadn't been in trouble in so long. That's not the law. The law is your record follows you until you die. And every case enhances another case. But it can be changed if you go and become the legislator to vote to change it.
Well, you definitely said a lot, and I want to touch on everything that's been said. And so just to kind of piggy off of what you were saying earlier as far as, them killing, Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and sacrificing in order for the greater good. I was actually just having a conversation today about that. A good friend of mine went to South Africa, and, of course, we look at the things on social media. You see the different enslavements that are still taking place. And it just baffles me because me, myself, as a young person, I look at the things that are taking place in our society as a distraction, and is to distract us from what's truly going on. You made a statement earlier about me falling into this activism on accident, when it really wasn't an accident. I myself believe heavily that eugenics is real, and that it is a form of the Black genocide that is taking place within our society.
What's eugenics? I don't know.
Eugenics is a form of genocide. So when you basically take one particular race and you want to extinct them. Mm-hmm. So that's done through abortions, that's done through the prison system, that's done through our food, just different examples to use as that. And so as prison reformation, I look at this society and this system as modern day slavery. And so that was whatever the racism and how they felt towards us, knowing that we are the chosen people, that we are powerful, and wanting to limit us or distract us from knowing who we truly are as a people. And so I look at the jail system, I look at the prison system as just another way of slavery. I look at credit cards and debt as another way of slavery. I look at social media as another way of slavery. If they can disconnect us from our roots and disconnect us from who we have always been, such as having our own tribes, having those cultural norms, those things that we stay connected to through the earth, if they can disassemble us from that, then we'll never know who we truly are as a people. We'll always keep falling victim into these different issues that take place. And so my goal and the reason why I'm involved in, just prison reformation, as well as, showing this film, is to educate people through entertainment. Nowadays, people want to be entertained. They don't want to be involved in criminal justice. They don't want to be involved in politics because it's not fun. It's too much work. The phone and the internet has made it so accessible to be glued into something, to where your mind, the frequency of that stuff is going into your brain waves, and it's dumbing us down as a people. And so me, myself personally, like you said, I don't watch TV. If I have a show, I probably watch it maybe 2-3 weeks later because I'm so invested in what I'm doing, and I look at my business as my baby. And if you have a baby, then you don't want to just let anybody hold your baby because you don't know what kind of germs they have. And I look at that in the same aspect of, the things that we believe in. Sometimes you can't trust that. I can't trust that this cop is going to, treat me fairly or going to pull me over and, be just and do his job correctly. So I need to make sure that I'm fully equipped and make sure I have the right resources to protect myself, using the law. And so using this film, Canal Street, is an avenue to do that, to bring people together, to want to learn, to, using celebrities to influence us positively. Because if it was just a random person, like you said, people go to the voting poll and they don't go all the way down to number 49 and 50 to vote for you. So it's like we have to find other creative ways to reach our people. And so through my job in media and public relations, I break that word down specifically as what it is. It's public relations. How can we bridge the gap to relate with people? How can we get our audience engaged with us? How can we have them to say, you know what? That story really made sense to me because I once felt that way, or I, know someone that went through that as well. So these are just my different creative ways of how can I spread the message without people just being so turned off of it because of what it is.
That's very, very enlightening and a good perspective. I like it. I like it. It's good that you're such a critical thinker.
You have to
at this
be.
Stage, yeah.
And they don't want us to think.
what I also see is that Vivian, you being a lawyer and you being in public relations, and a publicist taking your platforms and say, I can make money doing this. And like Vivian, you said, I can be an attorney, ride off into the sunset, just taking cases, making money. You can be a publicist working with rappers or entertainers, but saying, I'm going to take my platform and do something that can
and empower my people.
Right.
So it's like if you through music, people listen to all this music and the dialect, the vernacular of, calling a woman a B, calling her an H, or, calling men the N-word. I believe firmly in Nigis and Nigiste, which means kings and queens in Ethiopian. And so we try to turn manipulate, reprogram our people. I believe in unlearning to relearn. We've learned these different traditions our whole lives to where it's become so accustomed to doing what's wrong, and being wrong is cool now. Right. So it's like I'm in a position with media. I feel like if you put this show on every day and you watch this show every day at 7:30 and it has something, bad to give you, you're gonna start, being invested into that, like reality shows. People are so addicted to drama. There's so negative energy, and I believe that energy is so powerful. It's so real, and so it's like, and even when you're shaking someone's hand, when you hug them, like you're engulfing their spirit, and that stuff, if you're not strong enough, that stuff will hop onto you as well. And so just kind of wrapping it all up, just to equip ourselves, with the right tools, the right information, and manipulating the system that we have now to reprogram our people. And so, like I say, through entertainment, through the music, I have different artists that I work with, and I like to work with people who are enlightened. I like to, just basically highlight the hidden gems within our community. It's all about story angle. How do you want to present this story? It's not about promoting yourself or advertising yourself, but how can you take this cause and connect it with the public to make them say, you know what, I never looked at it that way.
Let me ask you this question. If I'm a successful rapper, but I'm off the chain, I'm doing the mumble rap and all that, I'm talking about turning up, getting lit, and I'm smoking weed in my videos, we got guns, AK, but I'm rich, I got a lot of money. Someone tells me.
I've turned down people.
Okay.
Turn down people, yeah. I actually had an artist who was getting ready to sign a $3 million deal. And they're like, oh, I just need a team. I need a publicist, this. And so I brought them on for a trial because I didn't really know much about them. So it was like one of those, hey, let me get to know you, come meet my team. And once I did all of my research, I was like, you know what, my heart, this doesn't fit well with my spirit. And I feel like as a woman, we always have intuition. We always know when something isn't, right. And when I look at what you stand for, I can't put my brand, I can't put that stamp on you because you don't represent what I believe in. And if I'm saying that I want to spread, words of encouragement, I want to empower my people, I want to, make my people think differently about themselves. I can't represent you. Yeah, and that's another form of slavery. You have these artists that probably win the game. For example, Kanye, he go in the game, positive Jesus walks and, just all these different things, encouraging people, but then you get so lost in that sunken place and, they offer you this deal and you got men start wearing dresses and start doing all these different things just because they sold their soul or they sold whatever they believed in order just to have that American dream. And the American dream is something we will never accomplish because it's not meant for us to have, honestly. And so you have these different forms of slavery that are just taking place in just different avenues. It's just a matter of which path are you going to walk down. And so,
well, we don't have much time. We got 5 minutes. I have a quick question, and then if you had some other thoughts based on that long dissertation I gave, you're welcome to talk about it. Is Canal Street clips? Is Canal Street the Canal Street here in Houston, or is that just
no?
a
It's in Chicago.
It's
based in Chicago. Yes.
Okay, because it's a Canal Street right up the street from here.
I'm learning. It's a bunch of Canal Streets everywhere.
Yeah,
it's one
it's
in Louisiana.
It's a major one of the barrio over here. So I didn't know if it was that Canal Street. Okay. So is there anything else that sparked your spirit in what I was saying or Danny was saying that you want to share your opinion?
You talked a lot about, young people getting involved in politics. I myself believe that since Trump has been elected, there's been a huge wave of millennials, being in power, taking those different positions in politics. And so I myself am a part of Creative Group Economics. And a whole team of us is myself, Lloyd Ford, Richard Bonton, and Edison Titus. We're going to be the 4 youngest millennials to ever run for the NAACP candidacy. For the Houston branch.
Houston branch, okay, great.
So yeah, we're the youngest to ever, even attempt to do this. We just made our announcement two weeks ago, actually.
We need some new blood.
And yes.
I'm a life member, so.
Awesome. Well, I would definitely love
I put my money
for us
where
to talk.
I've been on the board locally at the Houston branch when asked. I'm overcommitted, but I did do it for Reverend Lilly when he was the chair for a while, or the president, or whatever they call it.
Yes.
I think it's still Dean Douglas again.
Yes. And so basically, this is our way. We feel that
that's a good way.
When people don't,
it's a recognized organization around every platform.
And
so we really need new blood to bring it some life and purpose. So I'm excited about that. I've been on a big push about that. I was at one point a few years ago where I told a bunch of people who were interested that I would pay for their memberships if they do it. I had a few lawyers that would, but I'm excited to know that it's a group that's going to run.
Yes, and so you talked about a slate. You talked about, you just picked that one person. What I've noticed is that other candidates that are actually running, they're just running by themselves. Ourselves, we've actually been strategizing and planning this for
You can do
months.
more together. And like I said, the system was designed that way. So we can't change a system that we didn't design. We have to learn how to beat a system.
Yes.
Learn it and beat it. You don't get in it and change it or create your own definition of it. And that's what I'm trying to teach against. if it's a straight ticket, then you got to find which party you line up your values with, and that's who you run with. Right now, you know, in the last 40 years in Houston, in Harris County, the values haven't been your values. So let's try the other party. You know, the last 25 years. So it's supposed to be, everybody's supposed to be on a value of that value, and that's the way it's designed.
Yeah.
I think this year, it's either this year or 2020, that Dan Patrick has changed it to where you don't just, you could have a choice of just voting individually, you know, all for a slate, but I think he was worried about his son, who was an elected official, but he got defeated in 2016, so he had put in a bill to change it to where you did have to punch every name so that he couldn't get beat. But now he's the U.S. attorney, so his son, he got Trump to appoint him as the United States Attorney for the Southern District. So,
well, we are, you know, finding ways to engage with the community, you know, hosting membership drives, just to invite people to come out and just to get to know us, you know, us introduce ourselves to the public. You know, each of us, we're all involved in the community one way or another, but we're just wanting to utilize NAACP as the glue to hold us all together, to be the voice for the community. And just
it's really good. And if y'all can get in there, which I hope you do, when you get in there, y'all can bring a lot of young blood of people who want change.
Oh, we have
and through the strength of it, you can get some people to run for these legislative positions, because one of the things I'm always frustrated about is that people keep these positions for 100 years until they die. And it's good for us to have legislators, but if the Republicans are the majority in Austin, we can have all of our minority ones that are Democrats, but they can't pass anything because they're the minority. So y'all got to take over collectively across every color line as young people, that you can find common ground to work with Republicans and Democrats in the state of Texas.
Well, it starts with, you know,
yeah, I'm proud of you. That's very good. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
It looks like you have something to say, Danny.
Very quickly, inspired by Anthony Grace, whom we all know was wrongly convicted, spent 18 years in prison, 12 of those years on death row. But since Anthony's been out, he's been involved in using that experience to help people that have been wrongly convicted. So in a collaboration with ACLU and Urban Research Resource Center and TSU, they created our scholarship program. And at TSU, they're offering a class called the Smart Justice Speakers Bureau. So this is the first class, and this class was, it's a 12-week, 18-hour course designed to teach second chance citizens, or returning citizens, as we like to call it, formerly incarcerated men and women, to use their lived experience in storytelling to be able to present to legislators and large group media people, to use that as a platform for social justice reform change. A lot of people was interviewed. I just want to say, based on the support and mentorship of keeping good people around me, like Vivian King, and also having a strong support system at home.
Yay, go Danny!
Like Stephanie Sneed, I'm able to participate. So shout out to ACLU, TSU, and Anthony Grace for creating this
Congratulations.
opportunity.
Yay! And Anthony was supposed to be here tonight, but he was a little under the weather, so he didn't make it. So great for you.
But that's a big reflection on what you do. I mean, just think about it. We met several years ago, and you saw the work that I was trying to do. You approached Path of Freedom Ministry, which is a support group for men and women getting out of jail and prison, and you approached us and said, how can I help advance what you guys are doing now that you're out of prison? How can I help you? I don't have money, but I have a show. And you're welcome to come on and tell your stories and your experience of what happened to you when you was in jail and prison. And to that, we thank you, Vivian, for creating this platform.
Yeah, thank you. And I know Danny got a lot of exposure. I'm being told to wrap this up. So thank you for engaging with us with our criminal justice roundtable, round talk about what's going on in the community. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Good night. Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something